The U.S. has been dragged into numerous foreign wars since Joe Biden took office. This started in 2021 when he pulled out of Afghanistan, handing the nation back over to the Taliban. Then, less than a year later, Russia launched their war against Ukraine to prevent them from joining NATO. And during October of last year, the terrorist group Hamas launched their attack on Israel, where they murdered 1,200 innocent civilians. And now the Houthi rebels have hijacked the Red Sea. So far, America hasn't gotten directly involved in these conflicts, but some believe we're already at war. Here to talk more about this is the founder of Save the West and author of The Multi-Front War, Kenneth Abramowitz. Kenneth, great to have you on today.
Pleasure to be with you.
All right, so you say America is currently involved in multiple foreign wars, even if we aren't aware of it. Can you explain a bit more what you mean by this?
Sure. On October 7th of last year, Israel entered World War III. It found out very suddenly, and through, as you mentioned, the murder of 1,200 Israelis and 250 hostages and 300 soldiers. And so that was, in my mind, the beginning of World War III. Now, people don't use the term World War III here or in Israel, but I call it World War III because Israel was attacked by what I call the Hamas death cult, which is working with Hezbollah and the Houthis in Yemen, and all financed and directed by Iran, which is being supported by Russia and China. So, in effect, there's a world war going on in Israel right now. And since America is Israel's leading ally and vice versa, America is in effect in World War III. But if you walk down the street and interview someone and say, Mr. Pedestrian, are we in World War III? They have no idea what you're talking about. So I call it World War III. The population will figure it out before too long.
Right now, I want to shift gears a bit because we're seeing a growing movement on both the left and the right who believe that American foreign policy has actually sparked these conflicts. Now, they claim, for example, that the October 7th attacks really started 75 years ago when the country was founded. And they also say, like, the Russia-Ukraine war began when Ukraine tried to join NATO instead of when Putin invaded. Is this a fair criticism?
Well, look, half the people in the world live in a democracy, half the people live in a dictatorship. That's inherently unstable because dictatorships always declare war. That's what dictatorships do. So dictatorships declared war on the democracies long time ago. And but the democracies don't know it because the democracies don't like to think about war. But dictatorships love to think about war. So if you want to try to say, when did World War III begin? I have an expression on it's officially October 7th, but was Israel in World War III on October 6th? Yes. It's the same question about Pearl Harbor. Pearl Harbor was December 7th, if I remember correctly, but were we in World War II on December 6th? The answer is yes. So if you want to go back in the history, the war with Russia began in 1917 when the communists took over. The war with China began in 1949 when the communists took over. The war with Iran began in 1979 when the Islamic theocracy took over. So the war's been going on a long time is what I'm getting to. And that's why I call it World War III and World War I at the same time.
All right, and in terms of these wars coming to an end, because eventually there's going to have to be some sort of a settlement reached, how do you see, like, for example, the Russia-Ukraine war or the Israel-Hamas war coming to a close?
Now, bear something in mind about war and peace. Human beings have been fighting since whenever you think human beings began to exist. So war is actually natural. Peace is not natural for human beings. That's what human beings do. And every generation has to fight its war. And President Reagan famously said in 1967, freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. So the point I'm getting to is we should not look at life in terms of war and peace. It's always war. The question is, are you going to win the war? And that's what we have to do is win wars instead of just tying wars for thousands of years.
All right, well, Kenneth Abramowitz, founder of Save the West and author of The Multi-Front War, it was great to talk with you today.
It's a pleasure anytime.
For all our viewers asking where One America News is heading in the future, we would like to introduce you to OAN Live, OAN Live is the best way to stay up to date on all of the hard-hitting, straight-shooting, national and international headlines. And the best part is, OAN Live is only $4.99 per month. All the credible, honest, unbiased reporting One America News offers at a fraction of the cost of cable. Just go to OANN.com to easily sign up for OAN Live and stay informed.